Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Good afternoon, listeners. Carl Case, Head of Business Development at Referrizer, joined today by Brand President and CEO of Bishop's Cut and Color, Leigh Feldman. Leigh, welcome to the podcast, man.
Wow, I hope you pipe in some fake audience applause. That was quite the introduction. I very much appreciate that.
Of course. Leigh, you're calling in from Portland, Oregon today, right?
I am. That is correct.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Obviously, you don't become an overnight CEO of the largest haircut, cut and color place in America, at least. Tell me how you got here.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. It's a great question. But first, I do want to say thank you so much for having me. You know, I feel very special to be here. I've been fortunate enough to listen to all your episodes, and you've had quite a variety of guests. And, you know, it's really nice to be part of this, especially as we talk about health and wellness and, you know, customer care. I was first introduced to Bishop's actually through a free haircut card. And it's something we talk about with our franchise owners and managers and stylists all the time. And we say, you know, who here is the best stylist? And we ask that question during training, and everyone will look around and sort of go, what do you mean? And I go, no, who here in this room is the most talented stylist? And eventually somebody will go, oh, well, I'm really good at cuts. I'm really good at color. And I say, look, when we talk about elevator pitches and everything, you need to have your I statements, and you need to say, I am the best, and I'm going to take care of you. And if you are truly as good as you say you are, it's just about getting people in the chair. And the easiest way to get somebody in your chair and get butts and seats is through a free cut card. And so I was introduced to the brand through a free cut card. Bishop's had donated free cut cards to a school fundraiser, a charity auction, and some friends bid on the basket. They won the basket and jokingly said, hey, you need a haircut. You should take the free cut card. And I knew of Bishop's as a brand in my market as sort of this place where hipsters gathered. Everyone was cool. I was not. At the time, I went to get my haircut at a place, I kid you not, named $7 a whack. And you pretty much got what you'd expect from a place at $7 a whack. That place is totally unique. I kid you not. It plays Con Air on VHS on repeat. In that location, the woman used to smoke cigarettes. She looked like she'd be at a slot machine in Vegas or Reno. But anyway, I digress. I got the free cut card for Bishop's. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's a free cut. What do I have to lose? And I went. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I went back to work and people said, oh, you got your haircut. You look great. And the thing that the stylist did that was so impressive is she said, based on how your hair grows, you're probably going to want to come back at this date. And she wrote the date on her card and circled it. And I kept it in my wallet. And every time I open my wallet and I see the date approaching, 5 weeks away from the time I got my haircut, I'd touch my hair and feel it actually growing back. And I'd go, oh, I need to make an appointment at that time. And I went back to Bishop's at the date she said and had another good cut. Came back, people said, oh, you look good. And again, these are the first times I was really complimented for my hair. So I was introduced to the brand. At the time I was working other places. And through a friend, they said, we're looking to hire a chief marketing officer. Would you be interested? And this was a friend that I had actually helped get a role at Bishop's as Bishop's was expanding to central states and the East Coast. And he said, I think you should interview with our CEO. And I did. And I had an amazing time working as the chief marketing officer, leading all digital presence development, all of our commercial assets, all of our photo and print assets. And the business grew. And then in December of last year, 2021, the corporate arm for Bishop's was sold off. And then in March of this year, 2022, the franchising arm was sold off. And fortunately enough, the group that bought it interviewed myself and a few other candidates. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, thought I was the best option to lead the company. And I moved from the CMO role to the now CEO role and lead the board as the brand president.
That's amazing. And Leigh, congratulations to you for making that leap. Remember that, and Manny Sierra, the old director of sales for Orange Theory, spoke about this on our podcast. What people should be hiring for is things that they can't train. So you clearly came with a series of experience and knowledge that people really gravitate to, and you have amazing energy. So I'm glad to see you in this role. I'm sure that the brand is beyond excited to have you there. And I mean, it goes by the numbers. Tell everybody, where is Bishop's today? How many locations do you have? And how can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. We are currently in 15 states. We have almost 50 locations available within those 15 states. We have licenses in 31. So we have a lot of development that will be taking place in 2023. COVID impacted the business. There were certainly some landlords that were unwilling to work with our owner tenants, and some stores did need to close. But all stores have bounced back to pre-COVID levels and above. We've seen about a 16% gain as far as top line revenue within the brand. And we're now aiming for $30 million as our top line piece as we brought in new product partners and expanded service offerings that weren't necessarily part of the traditional Bishop's ethos. Bishop's really played in the cuts and color space. That's why we are Bishop's Cuts Color. And as a service offering, one of the things that made us unique is that it was never really about gender. It was never really about, oh, this is a man's cut, this is a woman's long cut, this is a short cut. It was really just about the length of your hair. And as we've seen the needs of our clients and consumers say, these are the things I would like done to my hair, Bishop's has really jumped in with both feet to say, let's figure out what clients want right now. But even more so, what are the things that they don't realize they're going to want from a hair care experience in the future? Things like scalp dermabrasion, K18 smoothing treatments, Cali Curl beach waves, digital perms, things that if you're not really in the hair space, you wouldn't even know are things that trend forecasters are looking at. And so when we introduce those to clients as hey, this is something that's possible to be done to make you look this way, our clients are really excited. So we've always talked about being accepting, convenient, and on trend. And now we really like to think that we are ahead of the trends and introducing the trends to our clients.
That's awesome. You just said a bunch of terms that I am unaware of, so I clearly need to show up.
Molecular bonding, parietal ridge, these are things that I knew nothing about, even working in the role of CMO. But it's interesting to see, especially as a franchise organization, how little experience owners have when it really comes to hair care or personal care, and how they really focus on building a team and putting the right people in place. One of the things we talk about in our training all the time is act as an aspirin. Where are the things that people, owners especially, have headaches when it comes to working in hair care, personal care, and how can you act as that aspirin and say, look, you're unaware of these things. You never went to beauty school. You never went to barbering school, but let me teach you how to do these things related to what you actually need to know to make your job easier. And again, I know nothing about hair except for the terms that I just touched on, but I certainly have learned more. And I really think that's one of the things that makes our business unique as far as how we're positioned, is that our owners don't need to be owner operators. They can really be semi-absentee owners and put the people in place that know the things they need to know and let them do what they do best. And that's really serve our clients.
That's awesome. And empowering the franchisees to really be successful is incredible. So Leigh, I personally know your background, or at least like to think that I do based off of your LinkedIn profile. But I mean, you have one of the most extensive brand-wide backgrounds that I've ever seen. You've worked with, I would say, every major brand that I've ever heard of, you've had some touch point with. So if you don't mind sharing a story that you brought from your past experience into Bishop's that's molded your current customers or path, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I think actually dating myself was getting to work on the MySpace music tour and seeing at the time a young artist by the name of Pitbull, who obviously now is Mr. Worldwide, really engage in one-on-one experiences with fans. Pitbull at the time was not the Pitbull that people know him as. And he really worked to build that fan base by going out early, talking to folks, adding them on MySpace, having them add him, talking to them about adding music. And I think that personalization, when you're talking about engaging with your core consumers, is so valuable. And I've really brought that to Bishop's when we talk about what are the expectations for hair care experience? How do you personalize that? Obviously, people have their stylists or their barbers that they go to and they say, that's my person. But when you talk about building a brand and building a business, that referral-based marketing is so important. We ask our stylists, how did you build your book of business? And a lot of people say, oh, I cut this person's hair, I did this person's color, and they walked away and they sent me 3 more people, because after they're in your chair, they truly are a walking billboard. People are going to say, oh, I love that look, I love that style, I love that color. Where did you get it done? And so that personalization, creating the one-on-one connection with your client is so important, but also because they're going to refer you. And when we talk about hair care and personalized services, we want to be the place people recommend. If I asked you, where's the best place to get tacos in town or Chinese food in town? You might say, well, it depends what you like. Do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like noodles? Do you like dumplings? This place is good. This place is good. But if I asked you, do you have a mechanic or do you have an electrician or a roofer? You're going to say, absolutely. I got the guy. I got the person. I got the woman that you should talk to. Don't go to anyone else because you're going to get ripped off. You're going to get a bad service. And that's really how we want to position our stylists at Bishop's, as the person to go see. And when I think about Pitbull and how Pitbull really created that relationship with the people that he met, even for just brief moments on that tour, that's what we want. We want to create something that is truly remarkable in the sense that people are going to go and talk about it, and they're going to send other people to our stylists and our locations way.
I'm a testament to that. I was telling you earlier, and for those of you that have been watching the podcast, you've watched my hair go from something to nothing. I recently got I would call it a $7 whack. It wasn't $7 though, but it was from one of these men's salons that serves you booze while you're getting your hair cut. And the guy just kept trimming and trimming. And all of my friends were like, Carl, what happened? And I was the anti-billboard telling people, no, don't go there. So that's funny.
Well, you're in a fortunate position that your hair had disappeared because it was cut. We talked earlier, my hair is disappearing just because of genetics and probably stress caused by my life and children. Mine is not coming back. Yours looks luscious and full. I think you could return to its previous glory.
Maybe we have a new service to offer at Bishop's, which is hair regrowth and things like that. But
I don't want to say too much, but Q1 2023, we might need to check back in and have a conversation.
There we go, guys. And for people trying to find where the nearest Bishop's to them is, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that people should go to www.bishops, that's BISHOPS.co. And we have a location finder. You can put in your zip code and it'll tell you the closest place to you currently.
Awesome. Well, Leigh, getting back to it, we got time for another story. If you can tell me a story on how you as a CEO have made some influences with the brand based on your past experience, because coming from a entrepreneur magazine and all these other places where you've had influence with working with other brands, I can imagine that you brought a completely unique outlook to what the position that you're in today.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that I put a major emphasis on sort of our digital footprint. Obviously, coming from the marketing side, I understood the value of Google Business Suite and really having your digital footprint be the brick and mortar online, essentially, and that people can learn about the business without actually having to walk into it. And that's everything from a 360 view online as a preview to reading reviews, having features, having pictures, having video, also that you can get a sense of what you're literally going to walk into if you book an appointment with us. Outside of that, I would say that my influence is really making sure people buy into our story. We are 100% about inclusivity. We say we are tolerant unless you are intolerant, and that it really boils down to the idea of just don't be a dickhead. And that's something we tell our prospective owners is we are here for everyone. We are, again, accepting, convenient, and on trend. And that acceptance piece is really a major facet of who we are. We play in the LGBTQIA plus space very heavily because we have stylists that feel not welcomed in traditional salons. We've never had a dress code. We've never had look or feel requirements when it comes to piercings or tattoos or hair color on display. And I think that piece of really living who you are unapologetically, and I don't want to say living your truth, but really being who you are as a creative, if you are a stylist that works at Bishop's, is, you know, something that creates an atmosphere and culture that people want to be a part of. It's a place they want to visit. And really making sure that people are aware that we are accepting is probably the part that I am most proud of when it comes to Bishop's, because we have clients that will drive 8 hours to come to a Bishop's location because they know it is a safe space. And those are clients that maybe are getting their haircut for the first time after a transition or are in the middle of a transition, and they live in an area where maybe it's not safe to walk into a traditional men's barbershop or to a women's salon where they might not be accepted. And they know through our partnerships with trans organizations, through Pride 411, Strands for Trans especially, that they know that they can come in and it is a judgment-free space and they will be serviced appropriately and they will be identified appropriately. And I think that's something that I'm really proud of when it comes to Bishop's, is doubling down, especially in states where there are certain things like legislation regarding don't say gay bills and knowing that we are creating a safe environment, a safe place where people can really be themselves. And so the fact that we have clients write us and say, I make this trip every other month because I want to support you and the brand for what you do to support my community, that to me is one of the most valuable things that we have.
That's awesome. Way to take the floor when it comes to best story on how you influence the brand ever on the podcast. That's incredible. Because that was quick, I'm going to give you an opportunity for one more story, but talk to me about something that you experienced early on in your career that you reflect back on that maybe positioned you to where you are today. Because as being an entrepreneur is utterly difficult. And it's something where I always say I throw 10 different pieces of pasta at the wall. And if one sticks, great. If not, I'm going to go find some more pasta. But give me your own outlook on something that you experienced that you think really fueled you to get to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I think my initial working as the CMO with the brand, there's sort of a piece that I go back to all the time. And that's something that I learned working in the tech industry. And that's the idea of, is it important because it's measured or measured because it's important? And I think so much data and analytics inform decisions that maybe aren't needing data to inform that decision. And especially when it comes to trend forecasting, I often say that if I'm looking at a case study regarding how 3 other brands introduce this service or this product into their portfolio, we're already too late. And so a lot of it has to really be with trusting your own gut, your own instincts, but really believing the people that are on the front lines as well. And I think so much of data is presented in a way that makes sense to C-suite executives that aren't really on the ground floor or out on the ground or boots on the ground, front lines, servicing clients in a way that they're getting feedback and having that actually be valuable when it comes to making informed decisions. And so we constantly look at, what are we measuring? Is it really important, or is it important because it's being measured? And deciding, how does this guide the business for the next quarter, the next year? And what do we really need to do to serve our clients better? So I think that's a really important piece. I think as a larger piece, as a more macro answer, the piece that I always talk about is work for somebody you want to be and be with somebody that you want to be on the personal side. And I really feel like we've tried to create an environment where our employees understand that as a franchise organization, we only do well if our franchise businesses do well. And they are really here passionately to help serve small business owners that have bought into the brand that, as I touched on earlier, is expanding a place where people can feel seen and heard and accepted. And that is really the mission statement that I think drives our business, is we are creating safe spaces. And we're doing it in markets where there might not be safe spaces that exist. And if that inspires you to get up and work every day and to work hard to make these Bishop's locations successful, that's awesome, because that is really at the forefront of what we're trying to do when we talk about bringing Bishop's to every state in the country.
I love that. Well, congratulations to you and to Bishop's for having you on the team. I think that you're definitely in the right place, and the brand should only be so excited to have you there.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm excited to be part of the brand. I'm excited to see what happens 2023. You touched on some of the services we might be introducing, but we're obviously looking to expand our footprint and bring more locations to market.
Leigh, I thank you from us and our listeners, and we look forward to catching up with you next quarter so we can see what's new at Bishop's.
Oh, absolutely. For anyone that wants to see what we're doing, again, head to www.bishops.co. You can find all of our social channels, see what we're doing online, and obviously find a location near you.
Awesome. Thanks, Leigh.
Oh, well, thank you, Carl.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.